is doing absolutely wonderful. I know I am super excited to sort of start talking to you all about what is up and coming with the new DriveThru and all of the new One Bookshelf sites. Real quick to get a couple introductions out of the way, since I'm sure I'm very new to many people that'll be joining us today. My name's Ben. I joined One Bookshelf several months ago as a product designer, and sort of my role that I play here is I have sort of been reevaluating all of One Bookshelf's marketplaces, and it has been my job to sort of kind of really deeply analyze the experience, figure out the flaws in that, and make it better. If you're tuning in today, this format is meant to be really kind of casual. It's just kind of us having a conversation about, sort of kind of where our heads have been at with the design of the legacy platform, and then where we want to go with the new platform. And today, with our first episode of Designing DriveThru, we are going to take a look at the homepage. And only the homepage. I know everyone's very excited to sort of see all the different pieces coming. And we will, of course, show those when they are ready. All I do ask is if try to keep the conversation on topic today for the homepage as far as questions go, and maybe concerns or comments regarding kind of what we see and what we talk about. I, of course, am joined in chat by Meredith. She, of course, many of you know her. She's our publisher relations expert. And if you guys have any awesome questions, I unfortunately am going to try to not keep too much of an eye on chat today, so I can sort of stay on task and make sure that we sort of keep this episode kind of cropped down to about an hour is my goal. So we are going to go ahead and just kind of kick off and jump right into it. So what I would like to do with these formats is I would sort of like to take a step back and look at the legacy platform at first, talk about the problems with it, talk about things that really sort of just cause problems for several users after things we sort of have looked at, and figure out ways to improve that. And then after we start talking about legacy, we'll move on to the new redesign, and then we'll talk about our goals with that, and then we'll sort of break it down piece by piece, and we'll discuss each piece and the goal with that, and sort of what we're doing with that. All right, so let's go ahead and we will jump right into that. So for starters, I do of course have legacy pulled up right here, and to kind of just jump right in, one of the biggest things that many people notice right when they arrive at the legacy platform is how much is going on. There's just absolutely a ton of different things going on, and it's extremely difficult to figure out, where do my eyes go first? What do I want to do first if I just arrived here? And that's, with all that noise, it's very difficult to kind of find a neat path to go. Do I want to look at the sales? Do I want to come look for that very specific title that I came to DriveThru to find, or any of our marketplaces, of course? And because of that, it creates a lot of confusion. It can create a sort of a visual overwhelming. If we have any artists in the channel, I'm sure you sort of heard that. You've probably studied that having too much going on visually in any type of product or platform is just never a good thing. And so that's probably the biggest gripe that we sort of had when we sort of took a step back. The next thing was, it kind of let's sort of looking at, why did you come to DriveThru? Did I come just to browse, kind of look around, see what you all offer, or did I want to look at a very specific product? And the problem with sort of our layout we have right now is sort of asking you to figure out kind of what's going on and where to do all those pieces. And it's kind of visually, where do I go to do this? Visually, where do I go to do that? And of course, as the site's evolved currently, our search bar is nice and very big, so hopefully that goal is very easily achieved, as well as we've tried our best to really make our filters sort of stand out and easy to easy to decipher and kind of navigate through. And of course, there's tons of improvements we can do across the board on that. So I would say those are really the biggest gripes we've kind of had with the homepage. And of course, as you scroll down, the noise remains, and we just keep introducing more. We of course we add all these different tiles, these new featured products, all of our sister sites. It's just there's a ton going on, and then you finally arrive at the bottom. And I'm sure many of you will point out, or have experienced, most of the time you're not even scrolling because the amount of noise, or usually the goal that you're wanting to achieve doesn't even involve you traversing the homepage. So that's those are a couple of the big problems we wanted to tackle in the redesign. And a couple things to note on on one of those specifically with that noise problem is, of course, we are a marketplace. So you're going to see tons of products at one time. Same with Netflix, same with Barnes & Noble. Any of these places are going to have tons of noise because that's what you're perusing. But there's a way to do it that we think, anyway, to really help make that experience just feel more enjoyable. So with that, we're going to kind of talk about what were the goals with the new redesign, since a lot of you have already been able to see it if you submitted questions or or what we shared. The biggest thing is when you get to the homepage, I sort of wanted to see two goals. You either were there for the specific product, or you were there to browse. And of course, there's a lot of other additional goals you could have arrived at the site to do, logging into your library, contacting customer service. But the two overarching main goals that most of that homepage helped cater to were those, the browsing and this finding a specific product. And so with that, that's sort of where we spearheaded with this new design. And with that, I'll go ahead and hop over to it, so you can kind of see it as I talk about it. Another big thing is we really wanted to sort of take a lot of that noise on the page and collapse it into easier ways to notice the things that are constantly coming and constantly happening, sales, things that we do in-house, etc., our deals of the day. And so we wanted to try to think of ways to make those better. And so with that, obviously, as you've seen from the page being shown, hopefully that's our goal. And if I can give a quick sort of thought process we wanted with this homepage, we wanted it to feel like you were literally traversing a bookshelf. I know with many people, half of the fun to going to the library was right when you walked in, going to either to your favorite spot or even seeing what was on sale right up front on a table and looking through that shelf, looking, hey, what's new? What's going on? What are the best sellers? What's the most popular? And that's really the experience we wanted to create on that homepage, is really make it feel like it was enjoyable enough to sit and just kind of start scrolling down and enjoy each of those categories and enjoy looking through them. And a couple kind of quick things to mention as well. Of course, a lot of this is placement. A lot of this could still change. But this is where we are currently at with this design and are very happy with it. So just please keep that in mind as you see stub data, or just because your title's not in here doesn't mean we don't love it. It doesn't mean that it's not amazing. I'll be honest, I just grabbed different titles that looked visually different as quick as I could as we were sort of building these prototypes and putting them together. So please don't judge if your title you do not see right on this list. So what we'll do now is we'll sort of kind of go piece by piece. That's usually the easiest way I like to tackle these designs, and kind of talk about, what's changed and why. So we'll start with kind of the top area for now, with the header and then the black sort of browse bar that we have. So at the top, of course, you see we have the balance very much exposed now. One of the things when we were collecting data and sort of discussing with people is many people didn't even know you had a balance. Which I found sort of surprising. And we know that it's sometimes nice to sort of know if you do have a balance, either via gift card given, or you just put your own balance to monitor your own spending. Sometimes it's just nice to always know sort of what you have before you begin sort of a experience of buying anything. I know I try to budget myself. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work out very well half the time because, you know, those passions sort of take over in the moment. But, you know, it's there for that. As well as, you know, of course, all of our easy links right here at the top, you know, collapsing those, making links easier in the tops, you know, being able to get to very specific parts of like your account, for example, go into your orders, going and seeing your notifications or getting to your favorites and managing that list. So that's sort of very simplistic up at the top. Now to the gray bar, this was the bread and butter thing that I really wanted to make sure we got right, because the goal that I wanted for something like this is I wanted it to sort of feel like home base. I wanted the browse bar, the search bar, what I've recently viewed, even my cart, to really feel like an anchor point that I can keep falling back to as I'm going through the site, because it's always kind of that reset point. Oh, I found the product I wanted. Well, let me quickly search related products. You know, and some people will click the shortcut links we provide to get to a direct publisher or to get to related products, even product lines. But sometimes people, you know, you just kind of shoot right to that home base and quickly search through it. So given that fact, that needed to be easy. It needed to be obvious everywhere you went. So just to kind of show it off a little bit, which you couldn't tell from the prototype picture, the browse bar actually now stays anchored at the top with you at all times. If you scroll around the site, anywhere you go, no matter where you're at, that browse bar will always be with you. So at any time, your reset point is right there at the top of your screen to be able to either search, start browsing something different, see your recently viewed, you know, and sort of keep track of that little number in your cart when you start adding items to it. And that was, like I said, that was really important to get right, that we have that anchor point for you as you're navigating around to be able to retreat to. So now, of course, you know, well, there's all these filters. Where did all these filters go? They were all on the home page, and, you know, we wanted to make sure those were still easily accessible. So now when you click Browse Categories, it opens up a big it sort of grabs your context and takes you now into this place where you can sort of pinpoint more directly where you would like to go. The list at the top, of course, will cycle just like our current sites does as far as publishers go. So, you know, I grabbed ones that were current at the time that we made these prototypes. So again, no judging. But as far as all the other the rule systems, the publishers, the rule systems, all of that will behave identically as far as the data goes. So as far as, you know, putting the top rule systems there, putting the top publishers on those lists, those will all function nearly identically to how they do now, as far as keeping those lists nice and compact to where they can fit. Just because otherwise they sort of, you know, they will get out of control, unfortunately. So those are things we still have to restrict like we do currently. But we really wanted, like I said, to give like just okay, you're wanting to browse. You're clearly not wanting something absurdly specific. You're wanting a specific publisher or one of these specific filters. And we wanted a nice, easy place for you to get to go to those. And that's why this sort of browse experience is available on every page. No matter where you're at, you can reset and go right to this. With your recently viewed, we're still playing around with some pieces of this, but essentially it's going to, you know, just behave very simply as, you know, showing you your recently viewed content in a nice list view. Oh, what was that product I looked at a few clicks ago? Oh, I just wanted to add that to my cart. You can do that right from that, you know, recently viewed modal now as well. So of course that's there. So now coming down to the carousel, kind of out of that browse bar. The carousel, what we're kind of thinking for this, like I had addressed earlier with the noise problem that we have with so much going on, it kind of takes it all and just puts it in one nice place. You get to see our biggest sales, if you want to see the deal of the day, if you want to see our community content. We're obviously going to sort of play with how many we have here, how fast it rotates, etc. But the nice thing is it's just nice one quick place to sort of do all those sort of check-in things on each of those specific places. And so that's why we wanted that all in one nice, not giant and, you know, over-consuming, but just a nice specific place to tuck all those things together. And then once we get down to the big most important pieces on these home pages, and then some of the other pages are, well, these title strips. So a couple big thing, well, couple, there's probably more than a couple, But a few major things that we really wanted to do with these, like I had said before, is once we want these to feel like a bookshelf. Like, you know, cheesy reference to our title, of course, but really this idea that I'm here and I want to see, you know, this shelf and read this next shelf and then read this next shelf and make that just a nice, pleasant experience. A couple other pieces we wanted to really make nice and eye-popping as you can see from the banners on the corners is, oh, one's on sale. Oh, this one has bundle options. Oh, these are brand new. And those are just nice little visuals that we want to bring to those bookshelves, if you will, to make it sort of easier to make specific things pop out. The 4 that you see on example here, of course, aren't the final ones. We might add some different ones. We might realize that some of these don't work that well. This is all going to be very well tested, and people will get to beta test a lot of this and give us great feedback, which we really, really are going to want. So, but that's just an example of some of the cool things we want to do with these new bookshelves to make that browsing experience really enjoyable. Now you'll notice up at the top right corner here, we don't have the multitude of buttons that we have currently on our bookshelf strips, and I'll sort of explain the experience that those are going to have going forward that we're thinking. So right now when you click those, of course, you can see the list views, you can see the tile views, and then some of them have the option to see all currently. Those create a lot of issues on the homepage, for one, because some of the lists don't fully load so if you see the list view versus the tile view, you sometimes will see different number counts, or the see all isn't on every single strip, and that's a problem. We don't like those inconsistencies. Also, because you're constantly warping and changing the layout of the page, that can cause a lot of problems for things to get along and nice and cleanly together. So what we're looking to do going forward is, I want to go look through all of the most populars or all of the best sellers. You just simply click view all, and then we will take you to a page that will let you then peruse all those in your choice of a list or a tile view. So you will still have those options, but we're wanting to make a set place where you can go to peruse those lists, where it can be consistent, and you can, choose how you would like to parse that list of information. And obviously, and like I said, no, this is a big shift, and this is, of course, something we're going to do a lot of talking and a lot of collecting data on. But that's sort of the direction why we're wanting to do this and where we're thinking to go with that. Now, when you're hovering over a title, this is where a lot of that additional information that we would provide by clicking on a title prior, or hovering on a title before would happen. So now, when you hover over a title, you'll just see that quick. We will show you the name of the title, the rating, the publisher, the formats that we are providing for that title, and the price. And you'll see that across. And of course, if it's on sale, we'll show you the new price with the old one scratched out, so you can see a comparative, so you don't have to be like, guess how much off this product is, and have to go into and look at it. And that was the big things. Obviously, we wanted to give you sort of that snapshot of information, but not overdo it. Obviously, to get details or to read about additional information, you are going to have to go to the product like you do now, but make it a little bit easier to just, here's a quick snapshot, nice quick little bits of information to take away from this title, and then continue down the list. And every single strip is going to do that. And then a couple other things we're wanting to do is to help break up just the list upon list upon list of information of all these different title strips, is add in additional ways to see the information. So of course we have our featured products, which is a little kind of, it's in an odd place right now on the homepage, and we really wanted to give them a nice full attention once you get to them. And so we're thinking of, we're wanting to look at ways of maybe having more. So maybe 3 featured products at once, maybe 2. Like I said, that for now this is just a placeholder. That could change. It could be more, it could be less. We're trying to find a sweet spot where we can show off as many of like those featured products as much as possible. And then of course, being able to see these 3 categories a little bit more to draw attention to it. I know a lot of people have expressed interest of seeing these 2 categories, pay what you want, and the free titles a little bit more obvious, which of course we're not trying to hide them, and we want to make sure people know that, as well of course as seeing our normal sales, nothing as part of a big GM stay sale or any other type of major bundles that we're running. These are just our normal on sale titles. And so That's really what we're thinking to help sort of break up that just constant input of just row after row after row of information, are injecting some of those little things to help make that easier on the eyes as you just sort of go down this bookshelf of reading all this information. And then, of course, once we get to the bottom, we have our ads just like we do now. All of our sister sites will be nice here at the bottom, the accepted forms of payment, and of course, then all the more just tons of different links and places to go to, change currencies and all that, just nice tucked at the bottom. Just sort of a little facelift on the visuals for those. Nothing massively significant, because there's no real way to make those all this new delightful experience. And so that's really it. Now, a couple things to note. Obviously, a lot of this is placeholder data, so we're not going to have 3 bestsellers. We are definitely wanting to look at, we have a lot right now, and we want to make sure that we have the best ones used. So we have nothing set in stone right now. Of course, I have my own preferences I'd love to see. Of course, we want to make sure we keep the most popular under $5. A lot of the ones that our users and our publishers, of course, really love. So those are definitely going to remain, but we are making sure to do our due diligence and look at not only data, but ones that we're hearing from people that they would like either to see more of or less of, and then pivoting based on where all that data lands. So there will be some changes to there. Nothing to the major favorites though, so don't fret when it comes to that. I think that about does it as far as all the different pieces of the homepage go. What we can do now, I'll go ahead and move into Q&A. Like I said, please feel free at any time to ask questions. Meredith's doing an awesome job in chat to help me gather those questions up. And I'll kind of just go down the list as I get them. And we'll just kind of go from there, because I'm sure I've missed something, or you have questions on specific pieces or things. And I will do my best to answer what I can. I don't like being that person that just says, oh, we're working on it or we're thinking about it. But unfortunately, sometimes that is the only information I am able to provide. So I hope you all understand that. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into some of these questions. So the first one is from Steve F. He asks, will scrollers be customizable, and will they be updating live or cached? If I think we're going to still remain with the caching. I would definitely love to see those live. It just kind of all boils down to technical implementation and how difficult is that information to constantly be updating live, because one of the things we have to keep in mind when we're building these types of things is it has to work across all platforms, all devices. And for example, if we're constantly sending all that new information, of course, that's new for a smartphone, for example. That's pulling more data that someone's going to end up using. And if it's refreshing, let's say we have 6 to 8 title strips and they're constantly checking for updated information, of course, it's not a lot, but it's thinking of keeping those things in mind for when you start doing things that update live or constantly that you have to think about. So I would prefer live, but they might end up being cached. Sean, I'm not going to mispronounce your name, so I'm just going to say Sean VT. Will there be a most popular under 5? Yes. I currently believe we have the under 5, so that is something we will more than likely be keeping. Like I said, with the title strips, I really want a lot of that to rely on the data we can collect and just talking to our customers and talking to our publishers and seeing which ones they would like to have the most. Because obviously we can't have 20, but pardon me. But we also want to make sure that we have the right ones. We want people to enjoy coming here and just scrolling down that homepage. That's the entire intent of this new design, and so we need to make sure that we don't overdo that. Moving on to Ann G's question. How much information will be communicated by hovering over a title's cover image? As I've stated before, right now what we're thinking is the title's name, its rating, its publisher, the formats we offer it in, and if it's on sale, of course, the price scratched out with the new price. And so that's where we're at right now. That could change in the future. Maybe we just, instead of formats, we say the rule system. Maybe that's more important. That's all information that we could sort of, as we're collecting and actually get to more of a beta phase and can collect that data, that will help pivot that. That's where we're at currently, though. Moving on to MTB's question. There are 3 ribbons above. What are the ribbon titles going to be when site goes live? So, as I said before, just that's constantly changing, and we've answered that. Now moving on to, it looks like we got one question from Twitch. Will the homepage reflect publisher balance, affiliate balance, or creator balance? So with cool things like that, the nice thing is with this new redesign, we have really cool things in our toolkit where we could even make things like where maybe instead of saying one balance, you can click it and it shows you 3 separate balances. Obviously, that's not something we have right now, but those are the types of things we could add, and I really like those kinds of things where it can, and maybe you can set one as like the default that you always see, maybe you can't, of course these are features that, and I'm just spitballing as features, obviously these are more ideas, so please don't take me as these are things we're going to get started working on tomorrow. But, those are the types of improvements that with this new toolkit that we'll have with the redesign, we can do. So with this prototype, it was just slated for the user's site balance. But obviously, like I said, we could do a lot of cool things with stuff like that. Pardon me. So it actually looks like we've kind of run through all the questions. We have... I'm not going to sit and ramble. I tend to be a rambler when it comes to design, so I'm not going to do that today. I guess with that, I can go ahead and hold on for a few more seconds and ramble while any last-minute questions get in. But other than that, I want to say, guys, I really do appreciate everyone for coming by and sort of just sitting with me while I sort of rant about design, about what's coming. I know it's a lot of really cool things. I know we can't answer every question all at once, and I appreciate the patience as we sort of are able to move forward and get those answers to you all. But in general, I do want to say thank you as well for all of the positivity for this redesign, the rebranding that we released recently. It's a lot of love, and we're really taking the time to make sure that we do this right. And unfortunately, that time is the one thing that sometimes is difficult to get through. It's like, oh, I want it now. It looks great. And I, from working in design and development for as long as I have, unfortunately, patience is something that's had to have been learned. So, yeah, with that, we are going to. Looks like we do have a question coming in. Since I'm not really going off of any script or anything, I can kind of help with reading chat as well. Is there a timeline for implementation? So that's actually one thing I do want to look at, is providing sort of tools and a path for either users or publishers to check in with us to see what we're working on, what we're prioritizing. Right now, that's not a goal, just because we're kind of right at the root of all this redesign and sort of just recreating the current experience in a new design. It would be difficult to try to provide a good list of features or things that you don't already know exist into some sort of roadmap or some sort of transparent some window into our process. I would love to get to that point, and if I would have my way, we will get to that point. It's just a matter of if we once we get through this redesign, because having one big block on a timeline that says redesign isn't very exciting. So it's just a matter of getting to that point. But yeah, let's see. Yes, I am part of the Discord. For our publishers, if there are any publishers in the chat, you of course can join our publisher Discord. Speak to your published service rep, I believe, to get the link. If for invites, I don't know if there's any other place to get it. You can speak with one of them for that though. And if you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy at any time to answer them. There are channels to do that on the Discord, which you can go look into. But yeah, other than that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Before I keep rambling any longer, as far as continuing shows, This won't be every week. It's just whenever we're ready to talk about a new page and kind of moving forward with that. So just be sure to stay informed from our social medias, from the Discords, our Facebook pages, as far as how these streams will be happening and when they crop up. And yeah, so with that, I hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful Friday, a great weekend, and I will see you all next time.